Yeah, it's Jackie here from the LGFA. We're on another Zoom call today and we're looking ahead to the weekend. We had our club review earlier on in the week and there's more action coming your way over the coming weekend. So I'm very happy to be joined by three very special guests, two appearing in county finals and one is going to be playing in a provincial semi-final. So top left-hand side of my screen is Grace Clifford from Eadestown in County Kildare. Bottom left, I have Rachel Williams from Sarsfields in County Laois, and I have Karen Guthrie from Glenfin in County Donegal, who will be lining out in an Ulster semi-final at the weekend. Ladies, how are you? Thanks for coming on. All good?
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, good. Thanks.
Smiling faces, nervous, apprehensive, all looking ahead to your matches at the weekend. I'll kick off with you, Grace. I introduced you first. Eadestown in another county final at the weekend. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, look, we can't wait. I suppose with the year that we've had so far, I think some people maybe didn't think we'd get any football at all. So I think we're just delighted to be in the situation that we're in and in a county final. I suppose it's what you train for. So yeah, we're all delighted.
Against Sarsfields as well, a little bit of history there as well between the two clubs in recent times, Grace.
Yeah, I suppose we've met Sarsfields already this year in the group stages. So we kind of know, I suppose, what each other are about. But it'll definitely be a really tight game. All to play for, definitely, for sure. So it'll be a really, really good game. But like them, I'm sure they're feeling the same, just delighted to be in the same situation into a county final.
And Grace, I think your game has been streamed as well. There's been a lot of streams happening right up and down the country, and I've been dipping in and out of matches, and it's a veritable feast in recent times. So your game is getting the live stream treatment as well, I believe, yeah?
Yeah, it's great. I suppose, we can't have everybody there that wants to be there to support, so they can tune in. I think it's going to be live on the Facebook page, so it's fantastic for everybody to be able to watch the game and tune in and support from the comfort of their homes anyway.
Excellent, good stuff. I wish you well. Rachel Williams, how are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Good. Looking forward to a county final in Laois playing for Sarsfields against Portlaoise. So you're going for 8 in a row, so very much the kingpins there at the moment. But any champion is there to be knocked as well, Rachel. I'm sure you're acutely aware of the challenge that lies in store.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose our focus, we're not really concentrating on the 8 in a row because we're definitely not getting ahead of ourselves. We're lucky to be in the position that we've been in, and while it would be a great achievement, we are not taking anything for granted. We played Portlaoise already earlier in the year and we were defeated. So we're, like I said, not taking it for granted and focusing on just putting in a really good performance on the day. And while it's an extra incentive, it's not our focus right now.
So you're the underdogs, Rachel, yeah?
We are, yeah, we are,
Good.
which is nice as well because I suppose it motivates and drives girls on as well.
Yeah, I'm hearing good things about that Portlaoise team, so we'll have you as underdogs, and I'm sure you're absolutely fine with that. Rachel, I was just reading the match report from your semi-final. Becky Williams in goal, is that a relation?
That's my baby sister, yes.
Excellent. And she had a terrific game, yeah?
She had a brilliant game and I was delighted for her because she actually returned to football this year and volunteered to go in the goals. And in fairness, anytime we've gone down training, she has been there 20 minutes before us, getting in some goalkeeping training, and I was delighted for her. I hope in the final she doesn't see as much as the ball because she shouldn't have in the semi-final, but thankfully she has the bruises to prove that she was very much in the game.
Absolutely. Rachel, was she an outfield player previously? What was the history there?
She was, yeah. She's a dual player as well, so we have a good few dual players on our team, and she was just kind of focusing with Camogie. She was in with County Camogie for the last few years as well, so she hadn't been playing football last year, so she came back this year. I suppose she works in Dublin as well and she's commuting every day, but since lockdown she has had more time in the evenings, so she thought, why not make the most of it and come back and play.
Okay, good stuff. Great story. We might get her on if you do manage to win. I might get her on next week for a chat about that. It'd be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I do indeed. Karen Guthrie, good friend of the LGFA's. How are you?
Yeah, good, all good.
You're looking forward to an Ulster semi-final at the weekend. Karen winning the county title in style, obviously. I guess Yvonne got the headlines for her scoring exploits, but Karen, let's not forget you scored 7 points yourself, so it was a good day at the office.
Yeah, it was a good day all around. Very few days probably as good as that. We kind of, I suppose it just started well for us. It was just one of them days. There's been plenty of finals probably where things haven't gone our way, and thankfully just on that day it did.
Yeah, we had Anya Tuberty from Nave Pole, St. Paul's, on talking about the challenge at Dunamine, and that's going to be a formidable challenge for them at the other side of the draw. And you have Lacken from Cavan, who have beaten St. McCartan's from Tyrone. So this is a serious test for you guys.
Yeah, massive. I think everybody on the outside looking in probably expected, with McCartan's being at home, given their track record in Tyrone and in Ulster, to win that, and probably comfortably. So the fact that Lacken were able to go down for an away fixture and win that game was massive. By all accounts, it looks like they weren't favourites to win their own county title either. So they'll you have to take your hat off to them. You know, it's definitely admirable, and they'll pose a massive threat for us on Sunday.
Well, Karen, how did you manage to shut down your good friend Geraldine McLaughlin? I feel like I remember when I was actually writing about ladies football, it was massive tallies that she was running up game by game, and now the reports are coming in and she's still doing the very same thing, and you watch her in action and she's an absolute phenomenon. But you appear to have had your homework done on Geraldine, and it would be remiss of you not to go into a game like that without some sort of game plan to stop her.
Stopping Geraldine isn't really it's an impossibility most days, and as we know from playing with her, she's just a serious talent. And I suppose with with maybe in years previous we hadn't maybe that that nailed down well enough maybe, and this year Katie Ahern and kind of Anna Marie McGlynn took up that role, and they done really well on her. Granted, I think our structure as a whole probably maybe was better as well this year, so it kind of it helped. But listen, we've lost 4 finals to Termon, so we're well. I suppose we've been well versed in that, and thankfully it just worked out for us this year.
Congrats again, Karen, and to be hoping there's more on the horizon, and we wish you well ahead of the weekend. Grace, back to you, and obviously you know your opponents pretty well, and Karen talks about previous meetings and that familiarity. Is that a help or a hindrance? Can you overanalyze the opposition, or do you get stuck between a rock and a hard place between trying to play to your strengths but at the same time keeping a close eye on the opposition and what they're capable of doing? How do you prepare for it?
I suppose the beauty of it is, when we played Sarsfields already this year, I think it was round 2 of the championship in our group stages, we would have came away from the game with a lot of things that we wanted to improve on, even though we got the win on the day. So we had a lot of learning points from it. And look, I think with Sarsfields, everybody knows, the likes of Ocean Byrne, that big name there, she's a super forward, she's really hard to stop. She's a game winner in many ways for Sarsfields. So look, we know, and we knew going into the game we initially played with that if we shut her down, that we have a great chance coming out with the win. So we know that our defence just has to be really, really, ready on Saturday, and we know that even from the game when we bet them, that even when she was marked very tightly, apologies, that she still managed to pull off some, get brilliant scores away, and she just has that effect with Sarsfields. So we know that that's one of the key things to kind of keep bed on Saturday if we want to get the win. And a couple of other fantastic footballers, so they know what we're about as well, and I think there's a lot to be said for that too. So we definitely are prepared, and we feel like we've learned, and we've come away from all the other games as well with an improvement in each game, and we just took each game as it came. And look, it's worked so far. We're in a county final, so we just got to bring it Saturday. That's just the main thing, and then just keep their main scoring threats at bay, really.
Grace, what's the county representation across both teams? It's pretty strong, isn't it?
Yeah, so with Eadestown, there'd be myself, Gráinne Keneally and Siobhan O'Sullivan, and then we'd have a couple of girls who would play in maybe like representing on the under-8 squads, minor and under-16, and then similar with Sarsfields have Roisin Byrne and Shauna Kendrick, and then they'd also have Molly Price, who would have played, Ciara Price, she's just come back from an ACL, she'd be a minor intercounty footballer as well. So like both squads would have good representation across under-8 and the senior panel as well.
How has Gráinne settled in with you?
Oh, very well, very good. She's flying it, Gráinne is just one of those people. Her mindset, her drive, it's unbelievable. I've never met anybody like her. And it just means that she just comes into any squad and just completely settles in and just leads by example. You swear she's been with us from the start, even with Kildare. So it's amazing to be playing with her. I'm learning so much from her. Her attitude is just phenomenal, and she just really is that extra thing for us this year. She was with us in 2018. We were in the county final, but she did her ACL that year, so
That's right.
unfortunately she wasn't able to play. So she's absolutely buzzing for the weekend and she's raring to go. So we're just delighted to have her on board with us, you know.
Yeah, you touch on probably most of her key characteristics there, Grace, in terms of, I think there's a lot of life skills that she transfers across from her work in the army onto the field of play, and that perseverance and resilience to come back from an injury of that magnitude as well, Grace, just speaks volumes for her.
Absolutely, and I think it was her second time to do her ACL as well, so it's not easy going. And I know her time at Waterford, she would have been known to be an outfield player, and I think there was a year there in one of her later years playing with them that the chips were down and she decided to go, she put her hand up to go in goals, you know. And I think that that just shows the type of character she is. She literally play anywhere and give 150%. You know, she's one of those players nearly couldn't say what position she is, if she a forward, if she a back, she just, but no matter where she plays, she just gives 150%. And look, we're just delighted to have her on board, and we know that she's going to be key to us winning on Saturday.
Absolutely, you know, it's I'm looking forward to seeing her play actually, and pass on my best wishes to Grania. I haven't been speaking to her for a while, but real top character. Rachel, yourselves, how look, I like to shoot the breeze for a few minutes on these chats as well. How is life in general, you know, the last few months and the madness we're all living through? How have you managed to cope with everything and manage that work-life balance that we all talk about as well?
Actually quite well. I suppose I'm a primary teacher, so it seems like so long ago that we got that call in March in the middle on a Thursday to say that that's it, we're not coming back tomorrow. And then we moved everything to online, which was, I suppose, different, trying to get used to, but I have to say the kids and the parents in the school that I'm in were absolutely brilliant. I suppose the hardest thing was not having training there, you know, trying to do your individual kind of fitness. I'm lucky in that I have two sisters that play as well, and we all play camogie as well, so we're able to get out together and kind of do our running and that together. But I suppose it makes us appreciate now that we're all back. I suppose why we all love playing, and it's really for the social aspect, which we really missed during lockdown. But yeah, I have to say overall, I've been keeping really well, thankfully, and family have all been around and that. And I suppose since going back in the end of August back to school, it's like we were never away, and kids are great and they're resilient and they just get straight back into it, and we're back as if we were never gone.
Yeah, I think it's something that's probably not talked about enough. But I mean, I've admitted to a couple of people there was times over the last few months where I found it tough going. You know, Karen, how are you, and how is everything in your world? Because obviously did you get away for a little while? You did, and then things. Obviously, you were in the middle of watching all the coverage of bushfires down under, and then along comes COVID. So it's been one hell of a year for you so far.
Yeah, it's been pretty mad. Just when we got out to Australia, it was all bushfires, and then within the first couple of weeks, they were kind of talking about COVID, and you never ever expect it to come halfway across the world. Like, you know, you never think that it's ever going to escape from China or Australia, or, you know, and it slowly but surely kind of creeped its way around the world. And we were always planning to come home probably at the end of March anyway to finish out the National League. And as the weeks were kind of going on, it was getting less and less of a, it was getting, I suppose it was changing that fast at home, and it was panic stations now for the last couple of weeks when we were trying to get out of Sydney. So thankfully we did in the end, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, and Grace, Kildare were moving particularly well in the league before it shut down. And I mean, I remember, I think it was a Thursday, and we were preparing for third level, the HEC or the O'Connor Cup weekend, and then the bombshell news comes that everything's shut down and the weekend just completely shut. But from an inter-county perspective, like Kildare were going incredibly well. It must have been desperately disappointed to see the season shut down when it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, our goal was to get out of Division 3, and we really thought we were onto that. And you know, I think we'd done all our games, and we were just already into a league final with a game left to play, and everything was just going so well, like many, you know. But just that's what happened, I suppose, with COVID. It just stopped everything, you know. And I think on the grander scheme of things, people have had bigger things happen in their lives.
Sure.
It probably shows, you know. So it's one of those things. Obviously, as a group, we were gutted, but look, we're back playing football now, and I think everybody's just delighted to get back and up and running. And I know the Kildare girls are back, and I'm looking forward to getting back in with them then as soon as Saturday's over. So.
Grace, I know you're a person with a deep interest in the welfare and indeed mental health of your teammates, and indeed inter-county players from a wide spectrum. How do you think people have coped, I guess, just in general with what we've been through, but also without football? And I guess, there's so many players that are wrapped up maybe in that identity of being a footballer. How do you think we've managed?
I think that's the biggest thing for all of us. I think, when you're playing inter-county football and at that level, your whole life revolves around that. From going to work, you're preparing for training, everything. And you live in a bubble, really. And I think for a lot of people, including myself, I'll put my hands up and say it was really difficult in the beginning. You're firstly gutted about, not getting to play the final and, and that side of things, but also just the interaction with the squad and that kind of level of, I suppose, routine and commitment. It was just, I really missed it. But in fairness, with Kildare, our management put in really good things in place that just kind of kept a lot of us kept us all ticking over. We were all interacting, keeping in touch. I think, thank God for WhatsApp and other social media platforms. People may complain about them at times, but I think it got a lot of us through anyway. We kept in touch with each other, posting in the group, and we did little challenges and stuff as a squad each week, and it just kind of kept us interacting with each other. And then I suppose as soon as we kind of got a bit of word that club was coming back, then we could have that then focus on. But during the midst of the main lockdown, when we didn't know what was going to be happening, was there going to be any football at all? Thank God that we kind of kept in touch and just, support each other. And look, I think everybody might have had days where it was just so difficult, to kind of get motivated and stay going when you don't know if there are going to be games or what's going to happen there. You just don't know. You're at a loose end with everything. But it puts things into perspective, I feel, and I'm just really grateful to be back playing football and really appreciate being back on the pitch with everybody and just really enjoying it. And so in many ways, lockdown I found has been kind of a positive experience. So for sure, but everybody's experiences have been different.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask you about when lockdown came and you're trying to keep yourself ticking over in the group chats and the Zoom sessions and what have you? How much of that was player driven, and how much of that was then down to Daniel and his team as well? Because we had Daniel on recently for an interview, and an impressive guy and a very capable character by all accounts. So obviously the culture in an inter-county squad is extremely high, as per club. So what was it, player driven? Was Daniel involved? What was to keep things ticking over? I know you were very, very it's very, very important for you to do that. When you talk about the social interaction, this was the only outlet that you had was social media and apps and Zoom and what have you.
Yeah, so from the management perspective, they brought out weekly challenges that we had to do. So one week it was like, book your favorite dish, and we had to all send in pictures, and that was,
Did you win them?
And we were, I actually won the cooking one. I swear to God, I actually did. I'm not even joking. I swear, it's the only one I won though. I didn't win the rest.
What was the dish?
It was do you ever hear? It's like a kind of like an omelette, but it's like 10 eggs. It's like this. It's like this. I forget the name of it. It's like an omelette. I looked it up, got it off. I think it's a Dave Nutrition. Is that a guy on Instagram?
Yeah. Daniel Davey, I think. Yeah.
So, and I just cooked it, and the picture did look really good in fairness, and it actually did taste good. I had like chicken, eggs, chorizo, black pudding, everything in it. It was actually nice. I'll send you a picture to prove it.
Did you know what you do? WhatsApp me the recipe, even better.
I will, yeah. So no, we did that, and then from the players' point of view, like myself and Siobhan O'Sullivan and Claire Sullivan they're two vice captains along with myself, and we did we came up with like a quiz, and we did a quiz together with the squad and had a bit of crack, like baby pictures and stuff were in it, and then from a fitness perspective, we were the ones kind of pushing it, but everybody just really kind of pulled together on it. It was both management and players, and because we were going so well as well, I suppose players kind of wanted to keep it going, so but it worked in our favour, and I think it goes to show like everybody on the team did really well with their clubs this year, and it's fingers crossed it'll continue to go into championship now come October, November.
Good stuff. Rachel, would you be interested in that recipe? 10 eggs.
I might give it a go. I'm not sure how much I'll be able to eat if there's 10 eggs in it.
Well, it's a sharing one. You share it it only goes. Yeah.
Rachel, you mentioned your two sisters there, obviously playing as well. So where does the family the family background and your interest in Camogie Ladies football, where did that foster and develop?
I suppose my dad played hurling and football from a young age as well, and where we live, I'm actually looking out on the pitch right now. We live directly across the road from the football pitch here in Mount Mellick. So we're very lucky in that. I suppose our parents got away lightly. They never had to drop us to training. So there was never an excuse for us not to be there. We couldn't blame it on the car broke down or we didn't have a lift. So we were always the ones there training. And I suppose from a young age, we just built up such great friendships with the girls that I suppose that's what we just look forward to most year on year. And it kind of drives us to keep going. We have a great kind of dual community of players there. There's about 14 or 15 players, and actually it's probably even gone more than that now, with underage girls coming up as well. So it really is brilliant, and just I suppose that's where it kind of arose from. We've all played throughout schools, primary school, secondary school, colleges as well.
What's the age difference between the three of you? Rachel?
God, I'm 21. I know. I'm 29, and Ruth is 27.
I'll get
And
this right, Rachel.
Rebecca's 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take your word for it.
Yeah. And we've an older sister as well, because if she looks back, she'll say, "You never mentioned me."
Oh,
and she
no
did
way.
play when she was younger as well, but she's not playing anymore.
Okay, Karen, I've never asked you this, and we've chatted so many times. How did you get into football in the first place?
Probably just with a local club at home in Castlefin. It would have been Robert Emmett's at the time, and we had a wee kind of rural school just beside the home, and it kind of started with a wee bit of school football, and then slowly they used to actually send a bus round when we were younger around the town land to take everybody into the club. So it was the best thing to get on it on a Saturday morning, and that started for the day. And just kind of slowly you got to play with the boys underage, then right up to kind of 14, 15. I was playing with under 16 boys maybe at 13, 14, so it was great. We often have the conversation about it. I think it makes a huge difference development as a ladies footballer to be able to play underage football with the boys. And I think the age group's got less now. I think it's only 14 you're allowed to play with as far as, and I think that probably, me and Yvonne Mulligan will often say that was wee things, that made a difference probably when you were growing up to get exposed to that level of physicality and skill level. So the team at home then folded, and I transferred to Glenfin when I was 15 or 16.
Okay.
So I was playing underage county at the time, and I had to have a club to train with and everything. So our wee group at school, there's kind of 4 of us in it, and there's 2 of the girls from the Cools and 1 from Glenfin, and Mary would be a sister of Katie Hearns. I felt we better even up the groups a wee bit, so there was 2 and 2. So I went to Glenfin, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah, it's a fascinating background. And was there football in the family, Karen?
Daddy would have, played and would have been athletic type. I didn't get that much from him, but he would have been when
you got
he was
enough.
younger. I don't know. And my brother would have played soccer, but apart from that, no. There's only 3 of us, and my sister doesn't play at all. She only started going to watch the games a couple of years ago, so she's only getting into it. But yeah, that was it. Probably Daddy probably would have been the main kind of pusher there,
Okay. Karen, can I ask you just about the break in Australia, short-lived as it was, or shorter lived than you would have anticipated or planned? Was it good to get away from a mental perspective? Because I know how much you put into football and how committed you are, and obviously playing at that elite level with Donegal as well. Was this something that you wanted to do for a long time, or was this just the time was right?
It's definitely not something I wanted to do for a long time anyway. It just, I suppose, after the Mayo game last year, there was kind of loose conversations. My husband was kind of keen to go, and I thought probably given everything that I've never kind of been away from it, that there might be a time and a place for it now, and it might give you a wee chance. I suppose I always found that coming into the league that I'd be fresher earlier than later in the year, and it just kind of came about, and I had the conversation with Maxie, and I kind of got a semi blessing, I suppose, from him, and that was important to me because I would never have went if that wasn't there. So just Yvonne obviously was playing AFL, and Katie, and they were going out, and I said, geez, sure, I'll go out and we'll get a wee break and we'll work for a wee while. And that was really it. The plan was to be back maybe for the latter stages of the league, and we were coming home that time anyway, COVID or no COVID, regardless.
Okay.
It was always only just going to be a 3-month stint. I'm a bit of a home bird, so Sean would have a a hectic time, probably keeping me away from home that long. So I think I did well for 12 weeks. Probably his head wrecked half the time, but anyway. But it was good. It was definitely nice. A mental break was probably a big part of the reason too, as well. Just to kind of give you a chance to miss it properly and to come back a wee bit fresher. Yeah, so that was the main kind of aim at the time.
You mentioned Maxi and Donegal there, Karen, and I remember back when I was actually during the days when I was reporting on games more so. You'd clock in with Donegal every now and again, and there always seemed to be somebody abroad, or you're missing key players from time to time because they're abroad. Do you have a full hand to play with this year in some respects?
Yeah, thankfully at the minute, I suppose the dream has finally come true for Maxi in one sense. He's finally got as many people in the country as possible. And I know it sounds ridiculous, probably going whenever everybody else probably was going. It was, but I suppose the league wasn't a massive focus for us. It was just trying to give a chance to get a kind of solid squad together, and it's not easy, I suppose, being at home when there's so many players away. I suppose last year was very similar for us too, as well. But the girls done brilliant. Given the level of players that was missing and the amount of players that were missing, they done super well in the league, and I think it sits the way it sits. So we're still in Division 1 next year, which is massive, going forward. And we've never been short of good footballers in Donegal. I suppose it was just trying to get everybody in the country at the one time, and thankfully we're as close as we've ever been to having that right now.
Yeah, because I think you're a really interesting project, I have to say, Donegal. And I know it's a work in progress and always a work. I mean, I was up in Croke Park last year when you beat Dublin first day of the league, so the potential is most certainly there. Grace, are you back doing a bit with county, or are you just all club at the moment, or dipping in and out? What way are you playing it?
So obviously with Kildare being on the extra lockdown, so we were kind of a month behind with the club championship in a way. So it only meant that literally, I think it was 6 girls in the entire squad were the only people not in a semi-final last weekend. Okay. So Kildare have gone back now this week, and people who have entered finals and stuff are obviously we've just stayed away this week, and we'll be back around to go Sunday morning. So we'll be back. But all the rest of the girls met this week, and I definitely had FOMO, I think, when they were training. I was, because we were training the same night with club, but I'm delighted to be in a grand final. That's the main focus this week, but still really looking forward to getting back in with the rest of the girls now.
Yeah, I think Kildare, again, I say the word project, I think you're a team to watch this year, Grace, and I know maybe you don't want to say it publicly, but I think you're a really, really interesting team with a lot of potential. Yeah,
fingers crossed, look, things are going so well prior to the pandemic, and hopefully we kind of start back where we left off and continue to take each game as it comes, which is what we did in the league, and it worked well for us, and things are coming together. We've a really good squad, a mix of experienced and young players there. So look, we're just going to work really hard over the next couple of weeks and prepare as best we can, and fingers crossed be ready to go then for Clare when we meet them.
Good stuff. Rachel, so you're going for 8 in a row. How many of those have you played in? All of those victories?
I have played in 5 of the 7 that we won, because I was actually abroad for 2 years as well. So while I was involved when I came home for the summer, I went back in training with them, but then I would have went back out to the UAE in early August. So I would have missed out on kind of semi-final and county final days.
Go on, don't leave us hanging. So 2 years you were away. The UAE, was that teaching, or what were you doing?
Yes, I went out teaching out to Abu Dhabi for 2 years back in 2017. I suppose just to kind of like Karen had said as well, just to kind of a mental break from constantly year in, year out, just the norm, trying to break that monotonous kind of, always having to be at training and having to be at matches. And while I absolutely love it, it was great to kind of get the break away. And I went over there with the kind of intention of, I said, I'll definitely play out there and I'll join whatever team. And it was only when I got out there I actually realised how competitive the football and camogie was out there. So I got in with a group of girls and went down training, and it was an absolute godsend. Because the first month when I went over, I was over there on my own and I didn't know anyone. So I found out when the training was just from the Facebook page, Abu Dhabi Nafina Facebook page. and I went down training and met up with a few girls, and just kind of got talking to them and realised that we had loads of people in common, and it was just absolutely brilliant. Whereas kind of prior the week or 2 weeks prior to the training, I was, you know, feeling a bit homesick as well, and it was absolutely brilliant. And it was only when I was in there then I realised I was actually playing with girls who are absolutely brilliant footballers, and there was no way I was going out there just to kind of sit back and play a bit of football and turn up for training if I felt like it. And no, it was back to the norm and just as competitive as it was at home, which was absolutely brilliant, because it meant when I came home then for the summer I was fit and I was able to just kind of slot back into training. So it was great.
Because you would have been training in high temperatures.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose that was probably the hardest thing to get used to. I remember we'd have, because Friday was our weekend, and we'd go train on Friday morning, aim for about 8 o'clock before it would get too hot. But even at that time, it was just, there was no air, there was no fresh air, and it was, obviously it's different to here. We played 9 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, 9 minutes, 9 minutes, and you'd get your water break then. But you also you could sub in and sub out as well, which obviously you needed to. But it was just absolutely brilliant, and I've made such great friends from such a short time. Well, 2 years, but made such great friends and girls that, you know, that I'll be friends with forever.
Would you go back?
I wouldn't go back, because I suppose my life has moved on now, and I've, you know, other projects coming up and things like that. I wouldn't take it back. It was the best decision I ever made, and I'm delighted that I got the opportunity to do it when I did. Obviously, people that were out there last year and it was their first year out, they obviously wouldn't have the same experience, because I suppose their travel plans would have all been cancelled once COVID started, which is really unfortunate. And as far as and championship was obviously cancelled as well. And as far as I know, they're not gone back training yet out there, which is difficult, because there is, you know, it's a great social aspect as well. And for anyone that moved out, you know, that didn't know anyone, that intended on meeting people from playing football or playing camogie or hurling or whatever it might be, they don't really have that opportunity now. So I'm delighted that I had the chance to go, and I did, and COVID hadn't happened.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting background. Karen, yourself, Donegal, what's the state of play there? Have you been dipping in, or have you not gone back yet, or what's the plan?
Our time's probably minimal maybe at the minute, just with the overlap with the club scene, and we're only just back to kind of group scenarios. So it's just a challenge trying to probably mix the nights and try and get dip in with kind of both at the minute. So obviously we're out this Sunday. If it goes well and if you win, you're out the following Sunday again. I think the Ulster finals are scheduled for the following week. So best case scenario, I suppose. Not looking too far ahead, but it's just a challenge for both sets of managements, for our club and county at the minute. But we're doing the best we can. It's enjoyable, as Grace was saying. It's just lovely to have football and to have something to be playing for now at this stage. You know, there's a wee change in the weather. I know it's getting colder now. So and just when you're out and training, the skins are kind of back on and stuff. So I would say that's what we have to look forward to for county coming in too as well. That's if please God it goes ahead. You know, I suppose things are changing kind of pretty rapidly all the time. So hopefully we get another couple of months out of it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. We hope we see you doing what you do best, Karen, and that's strutting your stuff over the next while, and we get that championship played. But for now, ladies, I really appreciate your time. Best wishes for the weekend. So Grace Clifford from Eadestown in Kildare in a county final, Rachel Williams from Sarsfields in Laois in a county final, and Karen Guthrie from Glenfin in Donegal in an Ulster semi-final. Ladies, thanks for coming on today. As I always say, I know you have better things to be doing with your time than talking to me, but I really, really appreciate it. So stay safe and stay well. All the best the weekend.